Hello. I hope everybody is doing well on this fine Sunday evening. Sunday here. I don't know what day it is for you. I had actually given myself another week's grace because I am 3 weeks post surgery, lower body lift, and 2 weeks post face stuff. So if I look very stiff, that is why. But I thought I was well enough tonight. I thought I was last week, but I wasn't. Too many painkillers still. So I thought I would bring to you what my experience has been so far, because then I can look back on it and go, oh, wow, that's where I was at. So that's sort of what it's about, right? So I am going to share my screen. I'm going to go through quite a few things of what my experience was, what I went through, why I share all of this with you. And if you have any questions, go for your life. Ask me. I'm an open book. So ask me anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay. So 3 weeks ago, the first thing I had was a lower body lift. Why? Why did I have a lower body lift? Let's first talk about who I am in case you're new around here. I'm Kylie. And if this is very disjointed, this live stream, it's because I haven't done one in 3 weeks. So getting back into the swing of things is difficult. I have a history of Hashimoto's. I also have a page and a platform called Thyroid School. That's where I started out. I had a hysterectomy at 42 years old. This is important because lipedema is driven by hormones that are out of control. I had lipedema diagnosed at 45, a double knee replacement at 49, which I did not know at the time was caused by the lipedema, gastric sleeve at 51, a lipedema arm surgery at 53, lower body lift 2 weeks ago at 54 of 3 weeks ago, and the face and neck lift at 54 2 weeks ago. So that's where I'm at in case you have not been here before. All right. Why did I do this? Lots of reasons. If you've been hanging around for a while, I have lost 60 kilos from the gastric sleeve surgery. So when I was 21 and my thyroid kicked it in, I put on 50 or more kilos really swiftly. And I then could not lose it, even though a lot of women with thyroid disease, I've got Hashimoto's for anybody that has similar, although just as many lipedema women have Graves as Hashimoto's. So it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that your hormones are out of whack. And afterwards, I could not lose that weight, even though I was given thyroid hormone and told, you'll be right, it'll come back off now that you've got your thyroid hormone. And there is a certain subset of women that doesn't happen for. And now, in retrospect, after all my studies and my experience, I believe it's because that subset of women have lipedema. So the weight that is put on, you can't lose it, right? So, hi, Donna. I know it's been a really great result. So I can't wait to share it with you. So the reason I decided, so first of all, I had my arms done. So those of you who've been following me a while, I had my arms done a year and a half ago because they were actually literally folding in on themselves when I slept and causing circulation to be cut off and pins and needles and all kinds of things. So I had them done in Australia. And that cost 25,000 Australian dollars, because this is all relevant, right? So I left the rest of it because it wasn't as important. The tummy, so I was tucking it into my knickers, like anyone that's lost a lot of weight and has an overhang and that kind of thing, an apron as we call it, there was that. I also wanted to look as good on the outside as I felt. I felt really good. I felt really healthy. And what I've also learned in this journey is the better I feel and the better I feel like I look, the healthier I do behave. I make a bit more of an effort to exercise. I make a bit more of an effort to do the things that I feel like are better for me. It's kind of this anchoring thing. If you've ever heard of anchoring in a spiritual world, it's very much about a reminder that you're worth the effort, right? And I share all of this really openly, and I know not many people will or do. That's totally cool. Some people like their privacy, and that's okay. I share it because I want to give anyone else out there that is thinking about these sorts of things but so scared of judgment and criticism from others. I want to give you permission to put yourself first and go, you know what? I have lost all this weight. I feel like I deserve to have the excess skin taken away. I feel like I deserve to have a flat tummy for the first time in your 50-something years. Whatever it is for you, I share all of this really openly with you because I really, really want you to put yourself first too. That's why I do this. Okay, I share my journey for that sole reason, that if I can give one of you out there permission to just shut out all the noise and do what you're feeling like you need to do for you, then I have won. Okay. All right, so that's why I decided to go through with this. Now, knowing that we were moving to Bangkok last year, we decided that we would put money aside and further surgeries. I didn't know which surgeries I wanted. I knew I wanted my tummy. I knew I wanted my neck. You'll see further photos as we go along because that had all just sagged. I had jowls. You'll see the face later. So I didn't want to look sad all the time. So I knew there was a couple of things that I wanted to do. And we thought, well, I had been following this company for a really long time and I knew what surgeon that I wanted to use. And I decided, well, we both decided, and my husband said, look, it makes sense to have it done once we move there. So you can just do it a little bit at a time, see how you feel, all that kind of thing. So that's what we decided to do. So I wasn't actually planning on having this done within the first 3 months of being here, but it just happens the way it happens, right? So that's what happened for me. It just happened really quickly. So I decided on the 360 circumferential tummy tuck. It's also called a lower body lift in Australia, where basically it's not just a tummy tuck at the front, it goes right round the body. And the surgeon who did my arms had suggested that for me in Australia. And she did such a good job and I trusted her opinion very much so. And she said because the backs of my legs and my hips and my butt and all that sort of thing had all dropped so much from the excess, skin and everything, that's what would be most suitable for me. I have a feeling the next slide is the scar slides. So here we go. I gave you fair warning, right? All right. So I looked into the risks of this very much so because there are potential risks for any surgery. And you could look at this, especially the face. It's vanity surgery, right? And that's the way most people look at it. And that's why a lot of us stop ourselves from having these sorts of things because we're like, oh, there's nothing physically wrong with me, blah, blah, blah. So there's risks of every surgery. So you've got to weigh up the risk versus benefit always with any of these sorts of things. And it's all the normal anesthetic risks, all this sort of thing, fluid retention, inflammation, pain, swelling, et cetera, But what I'd read mostly was that lipedema legs grow out of control again because of cutting the lymphatics around the trunk right round, not giving it a space to kind of keep going. Now, the reason I decided to go ahead with the full 360 was because I spoke with Dr. Leslyn Keith on an interview, and you can find that on this channel somewhere. And I literally asked her at the end of the interview, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts on the lymphatics? And she explained to me that the lymphatics, once they go towards your trunk and your tummy area, they actually go really deep, and that what you're cutting off on the excess skin is really superficial lymphatics. It's not the actual really major lymphatic vessels, which are much bigger. So she said, as long as you're skin brushing and you're doing all your lymphatic things, she said she didn't see an issue with it. And nothing was, I go off intuition on a lot of things, and nothing was screaming red flags to me. It was making sense to me. And I was like, no. My surgeon here in Bangkok had said, no, we're going to do a tummy tuck. an extended tummy tuck. But as I got closer to the surgery, I was like, and he hadn't seen me yet. So I just decided, no, the 360 is what I want. That's what the surgeon in Australia said would be suitable for me. I trusted her outcome. And when I pitched it to the surgeon, and he's actually saw me in, real life, it was like, oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. So both these photos, so that's just the front of my 360, obviously, and my new belly button straight after surgery. But the one beside it, where I look absolutely horrendous, that was after the face. If you don't know anyone that's had face, neck lift, facelift, that kind of stuff, oh my God, I thought that would be painful. I thought the 360, the tummy thing, would be painful. No, the face stuff is a very close second to the double knee replacement I had in 2020 when it comes to pain. That really blew me away as to how painful that is. So if you're going in for one of those sorts of things because you, like me, you lost a lot of weight, you had a lot of dragging and souping and all the rest of it, be warned. That one is painful. And, I'm only 2.5 weeks out and it's still very tight and sort of it feels a little bit bruised, but I didn't get much bruising. So that was okay. But these were the risks. And the biggest risk for me was the legs blowing up again. But after talking and researching and that sort of thing, I just went, okay, it's worth the risk to me. And it's also the reason if I do my legs, the legs will be the very last thing that I do. So my legs I'm considering doing in Turkey or Germany if and when that happens, because they seem to be the leading people in that sort of thing. But that will be the last thing I do so that we see how everything else settles down and is managed before I have that done, if I have that done. So we'll see. All right. So we have the risks. What are the rewards? Feeling good in clothes, no infections in the fold of your skin, or no heat rashes, where the tummy folds over. If you've got that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the other thing I came across is a long-term reduction in lipedema symptoms after the 360 specifically. And I'm going to go to the next slide because it explains why. Now, apparently, this is what I found in the studies and so on. So the removal of the inflammatory tissue around the tummy, because that still has lipedema tissue in it, even though, it's in the tummy, it's still plenty there. It alleviates the pressure and reduces pain. It improves capillary fragility. So our fragile capillaries is part of the problem with bruising and all that kind of thing. And one would assume also you're removing a lot of excess blood vessels and things by removing all of that around there, which then lowers the blood pressure load and that sort of thing. And just the pure biomechanical relief by removing the fibrotic tissue around the gut. So I found that really interesting. It said, the studies that I read, it wasn't so much straight afterwards surgery, but long-term, we're talking 10 years down the track, it improved outcomes of pain, swelling, bruising in general. So only time will tell. And if I'm still on YouTube in 10 years, I will come back to that. Okay. And I hope you're enjoying the little photos, the side-by-sides. They're a month apart. All the photos that I've got here are not from before surgery, not from before gastric sleeve or anything. These ones are, I had one lot done this morning. My husband took this morning. And so that's this one here. And this one was done exactly 30 days ago before I went into hospital. So you can see quite a distinct difference with both my butt and my tummy. Okay, so interesting, right? Oops, let's go back here. So this is just another infographic of the different risks and considerations, keeping in mind, the long-term recovery. You have to have a liver in really good condition to recover from any surgeries. That's why I use coffee enemas, because they, help your liver to process all the anesthetics and that kind of things. And if I don't continue to eat in a way and to have a lifestyle that mitigates my lipedema from getting worse, then it will. It won't make any difference to any of the work I've had done. People put on the weight, people stretch their skin back out. It happens all the time. So, you know, there's the pros, there's the cons. Only you can kind of decide for you whether or not going down this road can help you. And I'm certainly much further down this road than some of you are. And that's because I've literally put one foot in front of the other and taken a breath and gone, right, let's go. You know, I mean, look at these pictures down here. This is before gastric sleeve surgery, right? This was the crutches. That's me, double knee replacement. So I have taken one step after the other, and I have put myself first, and I've taken those risks, but I've also mitigated those risks by taking care of my health, doing coffee enemas, movement. I can't believe how much less fit I am now after 3 weeks of not climbing stairs here in Bangkok and all that sort of thing. So I'd love to hear more about coffee enemas sometime. Absolutely. I've actually just come across all the filming I did of how to cook them and how to do them that I did just before I left Perth. So I will get that video to you, Donna. The changes are drastic. So they are. And I've put these ones up to remind you how far I've come, because sometimes you look at me now and go, oh yeah, but I could never get there. This is where I started. You know, size 26 and 130 kilos and ridiculous. So my pleasure. You can get there. This has been a 3-year journey, right? So these photos down here were in 2022. So it's been a 3-year journey. And what are you going to be doing in 3 years' time? It's amazing how much can get put in front of you if you just start on the journey. I did have somebody ask me the other day, though, about having lipedema surgery and not gastric sleeve surgery. And to that, I said to this person, I would never, if you struggle with diet like I did, and for no good reason, I was plant-based, I ate very cleanly. I became a naturopath and a clinical nutritionist. I know how to eat. I know what foods to put together. However, when I had gastric sleeve surgery, which was kind of my last ditch effort because I was never able to lose the weight no matter what protocol I was on, something flicked. A switch flicked with the hormones, and my surgeon said to me he believes it was that the ghrelin and the leptin that's in your gut has some sort of interplay with some peptide with lipedema. He has nothing behind that. That's just his musings about it and his experience. And I got to say, I have no other reason as to why suddenly I was able to lose weight, because it wasn't food amounts. My food amounts go up and down like a yo-yo of what I can eat. And there are some days I can eat way less than what I could eat before gastric sleeve surgery. And there's some days that actually, no, there's not days I can eat more. And that's what it does do. If you're going to overindulge at Christmas time and Easter time and at all the, high carby times, it does stop you from doing that. But something happened and off I went. And then I was in a position where I was able to have the arm surgery. Then I was in a position where I was able to have this done. So you just don't know what's going to present itself as you go. But I definitely, if you're struggling with food and you can only lose 5 kilos at a time and then it comes back, which was my life, I got to a point where I could lose maybe up to 10, 20 kilos, I think was the most I ever lost. As soon as, it just came back on again. So if you're that person, which most lipedema women are, then no, I wouldn't bother having lipedema surgery or any kind of removal unless you have that gastric sleeve. That's just my take. That's just my opinion, because this will help you to keep it off long term, and I know a lot of people have issues around having this surgery simply because of the judgment of others and all of that. But you know what? They don't sleep in your head. Okay. So that's all I have to say about that. But definitely I would be doing a gastric sleeve or some sort of weight loss surgery if you're that same as I was. And then approach the lipedema surgeries. Oh, and also because you will know then what you have got left is just lipedema fat, right? So if you have lost all that you can lose with a gastric sleeve or a weight loss surgery of some kind, you will know by the time you get to lipedema surgery exactly what's left of lipedema, because you can't lose the lipedema fat that way, not even with gastric sleeve, but you can lose everything else that's not associated. So that's why I would recommend that as well. All right, the face. Now, this is why I had the face, and I'm doing special mention for the face because there are people out there that want to know, right? And I'm an open book, as I said. Whatever you want to know, I will tell you. And you can see in here, after the weight loss, I had a very saggy neck. I had the jowls. I had a very sad looking face. And being that this is only 2 and a bit weeks later, I look quite stiff and not quite right yet. But every day it gets softer and easier and that sort of thing. And you know, I'm not looking like I'm sad anymore. My neck, I don't feel like I have to hide my neck anymore. Oh, I've gone back to wearing necklaces. The simple things, because I stopped wearing necklaces because I didn't want people looking at all the sagginess in my neck. And I'm not ashamed to say that, right? It's just, it is what it is. Oops. So if you wonder where they put the scars for face surgery, this is what they do. So the mid face, they put in front of the ears here, and the neck comes up behind the head. All right. So you can see that's still red because it's 2.5 weeks. So, yeah, the scars are great. And if we go back, you can still see my lines. You can still see that I'm 54. Like there's nothing, and that was my concern, right? It's always a concern with something like this because I never thought I'd ever have a facelift of any sort of degree. So they also did a brow lift, and the scars, you can't take those photos, but the scar is kind of, there's a little one there and a little one up here. So that's how the scars go, and it won't be long before these will be pretty much invisible. So I did lose a lot of hair on the hair scars, as you would, but it's doing not too badly. So, yeah. All right, here's the results. And I only found this out today because after doing all the photos, I took the measurements. Now, I was expecting to lose the tummy. Absolutely. And I was expecting to lose a little bit of my hips because of the 360 lift, right? Now, in the hospital, they bring you, this must be a Thailand thing, I don't know. They bring you your fat in a bag straight after surgery. Do you want to see your fat, right? And I have got photos of the bags of fat and blood, and for the tummy and the 2 sides that they sort of bring up, I had, I think she said it was about 3 and a bit kilos that was removed. When I got out of hospital, I hadn't gone down much in weight, but I was still very inflamed. I'm still quite swollen. So as far as I know, as far as I can feel. So, but when I took my measurements today, and when I first got out of hospital, if you've watched me for a while, I measure my ankles all the time. And I had gone up 3 centimeters in my ankles, and I was like, oh, you know, and there are that fear of my legs exploding because I've had the 360 was very real when I saw it go up 3 centimeters. So it was only like a week later that I measured my ankles again, and they'd gone down by half again. And then today, my ankles were back to the normal measurement. However, I lost 28 centimeters off the rest of my body and 4.2 kilos down so far. So 9 pounds, 11 inches for my American friends. So on my waist, so the smallest part, so I'm going to around here, okay, because I've always done 2 measurements because the old me had a skinnier waist than the protruding tummy, right? So I've always measured both. So here I lost 1.5 inches, so 4 centimeters. But around the tummy where they removed most of it is 9 centimeters and 3.5 inches. Around the hips, 3 centimeters, which I wasn't expecting that much to change around the hips, to be honest. And the neck, I lost 2 centimeters. So I kind of wasn't expecting that either, to be honest. I'm not sure what I was expecting. So that was actually a surprise to me when I was doing those measurements today. So that was interesting. So any regrets? Oh my God, no. And it's like I'm in pain still. No, I say I'm in pain. I'm in pain when I eat because the scars behind my head. All right. So when you do a lot of chewing, so I'm doing a lot of soup and I'm doing a lot of scrambled eggs and soft avocado is kind of what I'm living off at the moment because if I chew too much, I get a headache. So that calms down. The stiffness around the face calms down. I was speaking to somebody who had this done a year ago, and she said the numbness, because it's kind of numb all around here, gone away. So I've just got all of that to look forward to. My tummy feels great. I can feel my belly muscles because they repair your belly muscles while they're in there. So that sort of thing. How can I have regrets? For me, I'm starting to feel like I look like I feel. And honestly, it's nobody else's business what you do with your body. And often people only pass comment because of jealousy. Believe it or not, they're jealous because they would like to do it. They don't have the courage. They don't have the money. They don't have the support. They have too many people, that will be having a go at them. So therefore, a lot of the time, those sorts of things are very much, oh, I wish I could do that too. Okay, so, and here's a final of more before and afters because I did a bunch of them. So these are the same clothes, and you can see I didn't look terrible in the first ones, right? But from an aesthetic and no overhangs, and I just feel so much better in my own skin, which is awesome, right? Okay, there we go. We're back into the main screen. So I would like to encourage you, if there's a stepping stone in front of you that you think you want to take to make yourself feel better, to improve your quality of life, because the better you feel about yourself, the healthier you're going to behave, the more exercise you're going to do. I've never done so much exercise in my life, well, apart from the last 3 weeks, because I feel good. Okay. And I've noticed now that we're going back into town and stuff, just how unfit I got in 3 weeks walking upstairs and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to getting that back, but I can't exercise for 6 to 8 weeks. That's fine. I will let everything heal properly. I'm doing all the things. I'm skin brushing for my lymphatics. I'm doing different little things. I'm going to bring back in the calf raise, the calf raises that I did. If you saw the calf raise challenge, you love how open I am about all of this. Donna, look, honestly, if I can encourage you to do whatever it is that you want to do, it might not be any of this, it might be something completely different. If I can encourage you to do it for you, I'm just so happy about that, okay? Because we all need to have the courage and the bravery to step up and go, you know what, I'm worth this. It doesn't matter what age I am. I was in a lipedema group the other day and she was like, I'm 74, is it too late for me? And I'm like, are you breathing? It's never too late, right? Do what you can do what's in your wheelhouse, do what you can afford, but do something, and don't be afraid of doing the bigger things simply because you're afraid of what other people will say. None of their business. Okay. So that's what I want to leave you with tonight. And as I said, recovery is still going to be, so we're in my 3 weeks, so another 3 to 4 weeks of recovery. I am sponge bathing every day because water is the enemy of all scars. So luckily we have a bath in the condo, so I sponge bath every day, and I wipe everything, and I'm betadening my scar around my belly, and the scars here get antibiotic cream on them every day. So it's just doing all the things and eating the soft food so that it doesn't hurt too much while everything calms down. So as time goes by, it'll get better and I'll forget all about it. And then I'll turn my attention to my legs and go, is that something that I want to do? Because I always wear longs. I don't wear shorts. As I said, this isn't about me looking like I'm 21 again. This is about me feeling comfortable and feeling healthy and running upstairs and doing all the things here. So that if I do that, that will certainly be much further down the track. And we'll see. I don't know. I do everything by intuition and how I feel at the time. And is it available to me? And we go from there. So I hope that's been of help to anybody watching. I know it has to you, Donna, and thank you for always watching. I do appreciate you always checking in with me. I love that. You've done well with the calf raises. Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm going to start them back again because that will help you. Your calf muscles are your second heart. They pump the lymphatics around. So now that I'm feeling like I'm okay-ish, but I can't do anything much more than walking, the calf raises are coming back. So starting tomorrow, now that you're doing them, I'm right, I'm going to do them tomorrow. So that's awesome. All right, everyone, have an amazing week. And we're back to our Sunday cuppas. And if you have any questions, if you want to email me those questions because you're just not sure, please feel free to do so. I'm an open book. I will tell you anything. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.